Today, I'm going to show you how to take anything that you have vibe coded or built with AI and use this SCORM wrapper that I've built to be able to just wrap it up and to have it tracked inside of a learning management system. Now, you could have Claude just build your own as well, but there's a lot of back and forth sometimes that you have to do with Claude in order for it to build its own. So I've spent a lot of time to build this wrapper. So all you have to do is provide the link, and then Claude will take it and then it will wrap it for you. It is something that I'm still working on. So there's some things that may or may not work. And there's some things that even just, if you have this to begin with, you can just have Claude start with that and then just continue to build upon it as well. So let's go ahead and dive in here. And we're going to build just a simple email simulation here using my prompts tool that you can get from my website at learningdojo.ninja. And then once you get to the prompts tool, there's several out-of-the-box prompts that you can use. We're going to build this email inbox simulator. Now, it is basically going to have 4 to 6 emails, and it's going to have 2 to 3 replies that ask, how do I respond to these different emails? So I'm going to copy this, and we're going to say standards of conduct for Acme Inc. company. I'll copy that prompt, and then I'm going to go right into Claude here. Now, I'm using my Vibe Code Learning Interactions project. The reason why I'm using this project because I already have some settings that I want to have it take into account, some instructions, and I built this using projects. If you want to check out my Vibe Code projects video, you can check that out to talk about some of the benefits of projects. But I'm just going to paste that in there. Now, one thing, I've seen a lot of chatter about this of like AI and building AI, especially with Claude design. It is taking up a lot of credits. And it will if you don't change the model that you're actually using. So the model that I currently use right now, or typically use, is the Sonnet one. It's more efficient and it's not going to take up as many credits. You could even use even a less efficient one if you wanted to take even less credits. But I see people using Opus, which Opus is great, but it's great for complex tasks. I only use it when I'm going to do something that I know is large. That is something that is going to take a lot of thinking. I don't want to go back and forth with Claude to be able to just get something right. Then I'll switch it over to the Opus model. Other than that, I always stick with the Sonnet model. And this is even with Claude Design. There is a little gear icon down at the bottom that if you click on it, you can change the model. And I think by default, Opus is selected, which doesn't surprise me that a lot of people I did one prompt and all of a sudden I'm out of my credits for the week. This is just something to consider when you're working with AI and you're within that credit limit. Hopefully those credit limits go up and we're not as limited, because right now what I see is, okay, yes, you can create an entire course inside of AI, but the problem with it is we create a lot inside of Rise, we create a lot inside of Storyline, Captivate as well, and we're not limited by those credits. But if we're developing everything inside of AI, we are limited by those credits. And I can see for the amount of work that we do, if we're doing it fully, we're going to need the higher level, which could end up costing even more than what Articulate Storyline cost. And so that is something to consider. So I don't think we're quite there yet for this to be able to just take over. I also think Articulate is going to switch over to more of a prompt-based model where you're prompting to create custom interactions more inside of Storyline or Rise or things like that. So I could see them going down that route. I don't know if that's what they're doing. They're probably going to just take a different approach with the learning. So definitely see that here. All right, so I'm going to stick with the Sonnet model and then just click on Enter. Now this is going to create my interaction. So it's going to take a little bit to create my interaction. One other thing is if you do have this adaptive thinking turned on, it will take a little bit longer to create the interaction too, therefore taking some of your credits. So it's just things like that that you have to consider. Okay, what model am I using? Am I using the adaptive extended thinking model inside of ChatGPT or Claude or anything like that? If you are, you're on run credits quicker. So can I not use that? Is it going to be okay without it? Those are the kinds of things that you need to consider when you're developing with AI. While this is working, I am actually starting to record. I'm not ready to have people sign up yet, but I'm starting to record a course that will walk through from A to Z on how to build everything with Claude Code. So if you wanted to create a fully custom course with Claude Code, I am going to be releasing a course and I'll have an early bird discount and access where you can get the first couple modules that are ready. And then as I start to build more modules, you'll get those as well. And it's solely focused on creating e-learning courses with Claude Code. but I do emphasize, I'm only a couple sections in, I emphasize credits a lot because that is the thing that's going to be the most challenging thing when creating courses inside of any AI tool. So let's go ahead and wait for this to generate. We'll take our interaction here. I'm not going to iterate on it too much, but we'll take the action and then we will have it SCORM wrapped. In fact, while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and go to this SCORM driver that I've built. And I have a couple things. I have a SCORM driver 3rd edition, 2004 3rd edition, 2004 4th edition, and a CMI 5 edition. Now, CMI 5 does use XAPI, so you could track a lot more. And I am going to have a video on that, so make sure that you stay tuned to my channel because I will have a video coming up in a couple weeks that is all about using the CMI 5 driver for this as well. Just because you can track a lot more and you can add a lot more detail, I don't want to cover that inside of this video. We're going to stick with just SCORM in this video. All I need to do is basically provide this link. Once we have the interaction, provide this link and then give some specific instructions to Claude in order for it to send over a completion at a certain point and for it to track quiz questions, things like that. So let's go ahead and wait for this to generate and then we will SCORM wrap it at that point. Okay, so we have our interaction, our simulator here. We have the different emails, and so we can read the emails and then we have different responses. So you can see right here, this is about accepting, a $400 gift card at a restaurant. So you can say accept the gift card, politely decline, or accept the gift card and keep it quiet. Let's go ahead and politely decline, and you can see that that is the correct response. Now we can go over to the left-hand side and we can select the next email. Now you can see our progress here. I'm just going to select a couple of these answers and I want to get to the completion at the end of it. So you can see our incorrect response. Let's get to the completion. I'm not worried about passing this yet. And then you can see we have an inbox complete with some confetti. Great. There is also a mark as complete. Or I could just have it say, okay, don't have a mark as complete, have like just a completion happen. So let's just do that. Do not have a mark as complete button at the end, have a restart simulation button instead. That resets everything. Completion will happen when this page loads. I didn't want to iterate too much, but let's just iterate this so we have a place to be able to send over the completion. Because with SCORM, just like with Storyline, we need to be able to track when the completion happens. Typically, it's on the very last page. It's on, the very conclusion of the quiz. And we also want to make sure that we have some type of percentage, which I'm not seeing a percentage, but we're going to make sure that we need to send over a percentage as well. So when I'm SCORM wrapping, I can also say, hey, I need a percentage that will, if above 70%, it will mark it as complete. So let's just make sure this happens. I'm going to quickly just click on things, not worrying about if I'm getting it correct or incorrect. Skipped one right there. There we go. And then we have a restart simulation. So at this point, all I need to do is come into this SCORM driver, which I'll provide a link down below, copy that and say, use this SCORM driver and wrap this interaction up inside of SCORM 2004 4th edition and place the file inside. And I'm going to go in here just to show you this. So inside of the SCORM driver, we have the SCORM content. I want to place that inside of the SCORM content, inside of the SCORM content folder, and have it follow the documentation for the driver. It should send a past and a completion once it gets to the inbox complete page, and it should send over the score of the final result as well as the questions the learner answered and their responses. Okay, so here is the driver. We'll paste in the driver. So just by doing that, it is going to read the documentation inside of the GitHub. It is going to place the interaction inside of that SCORM content, and it is going to track a completion. And I specifically said completion and passed. I want to say passed based on the quiz score. And I also want to track the quiz questions. So I'm specifically telling it to do that. If I don't do that, it may not send over the quiz questions. It may just send over the score, but it may not send over the quiz questions. So those are some things that are specifically that the SCORM driver can do, but you specifically have to define the types of completions, just like you do inside of Storyline or Rise. You define when the course actually gets marked as complete. So let's go ahead and just give it a second, and then we will have this SCORM wrapper give us a zipped file. Now to track this, I'm going to use SCORM Cloud. So you can get to this by going to cloud.scorm.com. And this is a test learning management system that allows me to upload different SCORM packages, CMI5 packages, XAPI packages, test it out. And if it works here, it should work inside of your learning management system. So that is something to keep in mind. I always make sure that it's working here before I pass it over to any of my learning management system administrators. Or if I'm the administrator, I still test it here, and then I know it's going to work when I upload it to my LMS, or it should. Every LMS is different. They implement some things differently. Even though SCORM is a standard, they still don't implement it correctly sometimes. So it depends on your LMS. But you may need to go back and forth and say, hey, Claude, I'm using Cornerstone, and I want to make sure that this sends over a completion at the end of the interaction. And you can fetch some documentation for Cornerstone and take advantage of that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and wait for this to generate. So we have our zipped file here. So the SCORM does integrate zipped initiation. It does set the score. It does set passed or complete, fires immediately after. Now there is an or, so passed or, so I may not get a completion to both. We may have to go back and forth on that, but let's go ahead and download this zip file. So I'll click on download up on top. I will download this to my desktop. And now I'm going to go ahead and upload this here. So I'll click on browse, and then I will come in and just grab that zipped file and go ahead and upload it here. Now, once this is uploaded, you can go into the logs and you can see if the quiz questions have been tracked. So this is something that once it's uploaded and once it's kind of wrapped together, it will track everything, and it will track all of that data here. Whether your LMS shows that data or not is something completely different. Your LMS, I've seen LMSs only show the question data inside of like a custom report that you have to create, which is kind of weird. All right, so let's go ahead and click on launch, and we're gonna click on launch here, and there is our simulator. So now I'm gonna go through the simulation. So politely decline. Let's go to the next one, and I may wanna next button down here, but let's go ahead and say, speak directly to James, explain, okay, don't worry about it, expense errors. Okay, let's have that, so that looks correct here. I'm trying to get a passing percentage, so advise Derek to stay on the committee, document his, okay, so honest, immediately disclose, yep, there we go. And then let's say work with Lena to address the situation proactively. I think that sounds good. And then advise Tom, that personal, okay, that looks right. And then decline the request, explain that sharing, there we go. So we got 6 out of 6. So we can restart the simulation, but let's go ahead and close that out there. There we go. We get a complete, we get a passed, we get 100%. That's what I got, and then we get that. And then I can go into the debug logs, and then I could see as you start, this looks like a lot of gibberish, but notice here, set value, the learner responded with B. That's really all that I'm looking for to know that which answers the learner actually responded to. You don't need to know exactly everything that's going on, but at least if you're seeing some quiz data there, they responded with B, with A, with C, things like that, you're golden there. As simple as that. That is pretty awesome. To be able to take an interaction and to have it SCORM wrap, you just need to define it to put it inside of the SCORM content folder. You just need to say, I want to have a completion. I want to track the quiz questions. With that alone, you're now able to create a SCORM package. Like I mentioned, and I want to emphasize this, I don't think this replaces eLearning authoring tools yet mostly because of the AI. And I think authoring tools are going to evolve to be more like AI tools in the future. That is my guess. This is something where, yes, I can build the custom interaction and I can have it trackable. So I can build this simulation and I can put it inside of my LMS without even having to touch an authoring tool. That's great. I can do that. But does it replace a full e-learning course? I'm not sure yet. I like to explore what's possible and not necessarily get into this is how it's going to be. This is essentially the way that everything is dead now. That's not something that I usually get into. So this is something to keep in mind here. Okay, so if you want to check out more, head on over to my website at learningdojo.ninja. You can check out all my previous blog posts, and if you sign up for a free account, you could actually bookmark my blog posts so you can come back to them later, or you can choose a topic up on top. You can also check out full courses covering everything from A to Z in JavaScript and AI, articulate storyline, vibe coding fundamentals, developing with AI, and then also articulate storyline basics. I am, like I mentioned, creating my course that will hopefully in the next couple weeks be early bird released. That is all about developing a course, a custom course inside of Claude. But like I mentioned, there's a lot to consider, especially if you're creating a lot of content. It may not be the best route, but maybe there are some things that you can build inside of Claude Code as part of the consideration. So that is a course that will be available soon. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel. I'll have a video to announce it and to talk about kind of the structure outline as well. You can also check out free downloads if you click on the downloads button as well. If you like this video, head on over to my YouTube channel, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, as well as hit the bell notification so you get notified of all future videos as they come out. That's all I have for today. So thanks everyone. I'll see you next time.